Allthings, that's a company I co-founded and that I'm representing here, and we stand for a better life in buildings. What does that mean? When we started this, we looked at how other industries use technology to transform how they actually deal with customers. So if you look at cars, I mean, it's obvious today, the car manufacturer is owning the customer relationship. It's not the dealer anymore, the random dealer where you would actually buy the car. The same thing in airlines. Based on the booking system infrastructure that was built, even in the starting in the 60s, and with the internet penetration going up, the airlines today own the customer relationship. So what's happening in real estate? How does it work today? Does the asset owner, the real estate company, actually have a build and run this customer relationship? Well, they don't, right? And maybe it's unnecessary. Real estate is going well, so maybe they don't see a need to change that. But there's stuff happening in the industry right now, and you all know about this. Space becomes a service. WeWork is a good example. There are new asset classes emerging: student housing, co-living, short-stay apartments, long-stay hotels, elderly living, service apartments, you name it. Everybody understands that they need to get closer to the operations as everything is changing, and technology in itself is driving change. So the real estate industry hasn't seen a need to actually own the customer relationship. Still, there's a lot of stuff changing. And then, in addition, they're sitting on an industry configuration which is 50 years old and hasn't changed since. So on the very left, you have the owners of real estate. That can be commercial, that can be residential, it can be mixed, whatever. And then on the very right, you have the users, us, who live in buildings, who work in buildings. And the setup that has been created 50 years or 60 years ago, you mandate a property manager, a facility manager in the middle to actually run the customer relationship for you. And this obviously doesn't work, right? The guy in the middle is running a margin business, so he's actually has an interest in lowering the cost. He doesn't want to interact with the user, because every time this guy calls him, it's cost, right? On the other hand, the owner, our customers, has an interest to create a better tenant experience, create a better customer relationship. So with this setup and the change that is going through the industry right now, that's just not possible. So what we propose is to create a triangle. Give the asset owner the power to own and control and monetize the relationship towards the tenant, the experience of the tenant, and kind of sideline the service providers. And service providers for us can be anything. It can be the property manager, but it can be the facility manager, those companies who help the asset manager, the owner, to run his asset. So in order to make this work, in the last 4 years since we started the company, we really learned that you need some type of platform in the middle that connects all these things, and this is basically what we do. So we provide a platform that gives every one of these three sides, three corners of the triangle, an access point, so that you can run the whole experience of the tenant through one integrated platform where everybody has his access points to make that work. So this sounds maybe a bit abstract, so let me illustrate this quickly. So this is the tenant interface. So this is what the tenant has, and it's important to understand this is not an app. It's more like an app store for the building, right? So these things we call micro apps, and these only very limited, very few of those we do ourselves. Most of them are actually provided by third parties. So this can be the access system, this can be a meeting room booking system in the commercial space, this can be car sharing providers who are integrated. The idea is that the owner has an interest to bundle everything into one interface, so as soon as a tenant, let's say a residential building, moves in, he gets one interface and everything is integrated, so he doesn't need like 8 or 9 or whatever different applications, logins, and so on to have access to all these services and functions that the owner wants to put into the building. Okay, so the idea is really to build a two-sided market where we have the asset manager and we have the other guys who provide services and functions and bundle it and make it accessible so that they can really select, like in an app store. This building is maybe student housing, has completely different needs than elderly living. He can configure it, and he can do it in a scalable way. So it's really built for enterprise. It's built for scale. So it's modularity, let's say, of an app store, plus the scalability of an enterprise SaaS platform. So the interface for the owner, for our customer, looks like this. So since everything is going through this one platform, we just create new data which has not been accessible for our customers before. Right? So it's a new data source for them. What's actually happening in the building? How does the property manager perform? How fast are tickets resolved? What is the overall sentiment? What do people complain about? What do people order? What type of services do they need? How often are meeting rooms booked? And it's really coming from one data source and really gives them access to all these, to basically these dashboards that allow him to understand better what's happening in his individual asset, but also across the whole portfolio. And then, of course, the last corner also has this access point, which is called the cockpit. So here, you're able to run the whole tenant relationship through one single interface. Good. So this is how, just to illustrate it a bit, maybe it's a bit abstract. This is a customer in Switzerland, one of the top 5 real estate asset managers in Europe. And it's a building which was renovated. It's mixed use. They have 200 rental apartments in there. So what they did, they put a room in there, kind of a guest room, which is only accessible to these people living in that building. Yeah? And you can book it. So for example, if your in-laws are visiting and you don't have enough space in your own apartment, you can put them in here. So with our system, you can just see when it's available, you can book it, you can pay through it. There's even a doorless lock system integrated, so as soon as you book it, get an SMS code which you can forward, and then somebody can open the door, even if you arrive at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then after you're moving out again, let's say after the weekend when your guests are leaving again, the facility management system gets a ping so that they know that you have to clean the room up. Right? So for the user, it's a completely frictionless experience. It's 4 clicks, yeah, and he's got it. In the background, we have 4 different or even 5 different systems integrated. So it's ours, it's the credit card payment, it's the doorless lock system, it's a facility management system, and it's even the accounting system to a certain degree. And it's really for the user bundled in a way and packaged in a way that it's for him a very easy experience. So this is what we mean when we talk about a better tenant experience. This is just one example, and we have hundreds of those examples with car sharing, with scooter sharing, with services, dog walking, car wash, whatever, all these things you can really very well integrate in here and again put it into this one interface, which makes it very easy for the user to adopt it and to have access to these services. So who do we work with? So again, we're really enterprise-grade software. So most of the customers, some of the names household brands in the real estate world, AXA, Credit Suisse, Allianz, Munich Re. Also some in the Netherlands now, where we just expanded to UK as well. Yeah, so I think we had a great run. You can really see that this whole tenant experience concept is really, getting hold in the market. We have a lot of attention from the big real estate managers who are now working with us or starting the discussion with us to think about, how they want to create a better life in buildings. Thank you.